ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our special guest, and obviously a man that needs no introduction, but I'm going to give you one anyway. He was taken by St Kilda with Pick 1 in the 2000 National Draft, going on to play 336 games for the Saints across his 17-year career. He's captained the club more times than anyone else, and has won the Trevor Barker Medal 6 times as St Kilda's best and fairest player. He was a 5-time All-Australian, 4-time leading goal kicker, and was named the AFL's Rising Star in 2002. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together and welcome, a big welcome home to the great Riewoldt.
Thank you, mate. And thank you all for coming. It's been great the last, I think it's been probably 3-4 months. I've been to the John Farnham School of Retirement, so it's dragged right out. But that's the real advantage of announcing your retirement 4 weeks before the end of the season. You actually get more time in the limelight. So it's been great. But to be able to travel around the country and spend time with supporter groups that during the course of a career you don't really get to interact with has been great. So for an interstate game, we would generally fly in, train, prepare to play, and then fly out pretty quickly. So I've been to Perth, Adelaide, I've been up on the north coast. It's just been terrific. Now here, back home where it all began, to be able to interact with a lot of St Kilda supporters that have supported me over 17 years, it's been I guess a nice little sort of ribbon around my career. So thank you for all your support throughout that time.
How's this for a circle of life, mate? Here we are sitting at Rest Point Casino after a stunning career, a couple of hundred metres across the road from where you grew up.
Yeah, I guess the irony is not lost on me. It has been an incredible journey, and I do just get a real sense of calm coming home. And I've really been looking forward to this part of the book tour the whole way through. This was the one that I was really excited about. Getting home, driving up from Battery Point this morning, and being able to point out to Andy, who's part of the publishing team, and Carly, who have been a part of this whole journey with the book for a long period of time, but being able to point out, there's Duke Street, that's where I grew up, and there's Queenbridge just up the road, that's where I would play footy, or watch the footy for about a half, and then spend the other half running through the hedge. So to be able to get back and actually relate to some of those stories again has been really special.
Well, congratulations on the book. I've had the pleasure of reading it top to bottom. It's unreal, mate. It's not a lot about footy, is it? It's more about you as a person, and I think that was what made it so enjoyable.
Yeah, I didn't want to write a cookie-cutter football book. That's not something that really interests me. Luke Hodges has just come out and released a book as well, and what I thought was, well, if you stacked our two books up side by side, and they were both pure football books. Luke Hodge won 4 premierships. I played in a lot of finals, grand finals, but never got there. So, as far as a pure footy story went, it would be interesting, I think, to St Kilda supporters, but wouldn't really transcend into a further reach. So I wanted to write something that would be insightful and interesting, but also relatable. And it's very hard, I think, for anyone that hasn't played elite footy to relate to an AFL footballer. So to do that and to be relatable, I needed to show some vulnerability. I needed to talk about a wider range of topics and really the things that make us, which is the book's title. That is something that everyone can identify in their own life. The things that have made them who they are, whether they're relationships, people, circumstances, places, events. We all have those that have occurred in our lives that I guess have shaped us in some way. So the book is a book of themes written from my point of view that I hope people can relate to.
Let's wind back the clock, go right back to the start, mate. Growing up here in Hobart, fond memories, and do you have, can you remember much about it before you took off to Queensland?
Yeah, well, I was 10, so I can remember things before I was moved. And a lot of my great memories, in my early childhood are from Tassie. It's interesting, right the way through, people have identified me as a Queenslander because I was drafted out of the Gold Coast, but I don't feel any emotional connection to Queensland at all. I don't have any family really up there. All my family, my great memory, my roots are in Tassie. I'm a proud Tasmanian, and yeah, it is beautiful to be able to come back. We've maintained a pretty strong presence down here, particularly on the east coast, which it's going to be a really exciting weekend. We've got the whole family heading up there for Jack's wedding on Saturday. So I can sit around and sit in the corner and watch the Riewoldt boys continue to celebrate together. That's going to be a lot of fun. But it is great to be able to come back, and all my great friends, relationships all came from Tassie.
A whole chapter in the book devoted to Tassie, which is awesome, and all throughout. So Orford is such a special place to you, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's we are really fortunate as a family to be able to have somewhere like Orford. I think 7 generations Nancy here. So I sat down with my mum's mother, Faye, who's sitting over on our table, and I wanted to understand a bit of the history and really document that so that my kids would understand what the significance of Orford and Tassie. And I did the same with Helga and Heinz, Dad's parents, because I wanted to understand what they'd been through, why they are the way they are, how that sort of experience living through World War II shaped them. So for prosperity's sake, the ability to get all that down on paper, not just for me or for the reader, but for the future generations of our family was really important to me.
And you brought a lot of the first year St Kilda boys to Orford too, didn't you, while you were skipper? So that must have been fond memories as well, bringing those guys down here and sharing a special place with them.
Yeah, that was great. To be able to do that late in my career and forge strong relationships with the younger players. It's something that I did as a young player. Grant Thomas would take us away every year. We'd have a training camp in London one year, South Africa, China, which was the best trip I would never ever do again. But to be able to bring our young players away and spend some time together, get out of Melbourne, out of the footy bubble, and just go somewhere real and interact has been great. It's also, I guess, allowed me to mix my two worlds, footy and family. And so one of my great friends, Jared's here today, he took a bunch of 6 or 8 St Kilda players out on the boat, and it's been a really nice thing to be able to do.
Your German heritage is something that you're really proud of too, and you speak about that in the book, so much to the point where you support the Germans over the Australians against the Olympic Games or the soccer.
Don't embellish. That's I said I'm very selective about which sports I do that in. So if we were playing soccer, I'd probably go for the Germans because they're more likely to win.
Very fair point. Your mum and dad separated while you were young, and that's when the decision was made to move to Queensland when they got back together for a bit of a fresh start.
Yeah, so we headed up there, and again, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to grow up on the Gold Coast. It was a great place to grow up. It's, I guess once you sort of turn 18, you finish school, there's not a lot of opportunity up there. So fortunately for me, that opportunity was moving to Melbourne and starting my AFL dreams. So the opportunity to play sport up there, to make some great friends, and to really, I guess, start that footy journey was something that I'm grateful for.
What do you think as a 10-year-old when your parents started moving to Queensland? Were you nervous, I suppose, or what was going through your mind?
Well, I can't remember exactly, to be honest. I think that would be daunting for any young person, having to sort of start at a new school and do those sort of things. But we survived, we got through, and I'm sure we'll probably do something pretty similar with Catherine and I with our kids at some stage, except we'll be going from Melbourne to Houston as opposed to Hobart to Queensland.
Let's talk about your sporting exploits as a junior. You're a bit of a star cricketer, and a nice little link today. You scored 100 in a Lord's Taverners competition at some point, didn't you?
Oh, a couple. I always loved cricket playing up. I wanted to be a cricketer, really. That was what I set my sights on. How realistic it was, I'm not too sure, but physically I matured very, very late. So I didn't. The first best and fairest at any level of footy I ever won was actually at St Kilda. I was not a star junior footy player, but I was pretty good at cricket. So that was a path I always saw myself going down, and had a bit of a growth spurt when I turned 16, and all of a sudden I was as big as or taller than the other kids, and could mark the footy a bit better, and it really ramped up pretty quickly from that point on.
There's a lot of good AFL players that could have been cricketers, but your name doesn't get mentioned, and that sort of grinds your gears a little bit.
Oh, it's a little bit annoying. So that's why I put it in the book. So now it's out there. Hopefully that changes from now on.
What are your memories as a junior footballer? You said before, you weren't above and beyond everyone else at an early age. You were just sort of in the pack with everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. I was. One year, I think under 13s, I didn't even make the Gold Coast team, and the standard of footy up there wasn't all that strong at all. Made the state teams in 16s and 18s, but again, it all happened very, very quickly towards the end. I remember heading up to the Gabba to meet with the Brisbane Lions, and they had a zoning rule where if you lived within 50 kilometres of the Brisbane city centre, you could go there without going through the draft process. They could zone you. And I remember meeting with Lee Matthews and Kadir Beatson, and they said, "Oh, look, we want you to pull out of the draft this year so we can get you next year because the zone's going to be increased to 100 kilometres." I remember thinking, "Gee, they've got the wrong bloke. Like, I'm not going to be any good." And it just all sort of happened very, very late. As it turns out, I lived 76 k's away, nominated for the draft, and within the next sort of 6 weeks, my stock rose, and I ended up going to St Kilda pretty early.
So at what age did you think, wow, I might actually be pretty good at this football thing, and you thought you might get drafted, I suppose?
Yeah, probably not until halfway through my draft year, and that's the honest truth. It all happened very late. Again, football obscurity in Queensland, so no exposure. Now you pick up the paper or you read the AFL app, and they're pumping up 16 to 18-year-old kids that everyone knows their names. It's crazy, really, the amount of pressure that's going to put on young players coming into the game. So I was drafted out of the Gold Coast. I think you probably had to turn 8 pages deep into the Gold Coast Bulletin to see anything the day after the draft. And, despite the fact that I went number 1 in the draft. The week before the draft, I was speaking to a group of friends from school, and they said, "Oh, what are you doing this weekend?" And I said, "Oh, I'm actually heading down to Melbourne for the draft." And they said, "Oh, the draft? What's the draft?" "Oh, yeah, that's right, you play footy, don't you?" I said, "Oh, yeah." Went down to Melbourne, and I sort of haven't really seen them since. Children are all sitting around thinking, "I wonder what happened to Nick like."
So St Kilda obviously is where you landed. How early did you know you were going there and to pick one?
Found out probably a couple of weeks before, so I was in a really privileged position where I didn't go into draft day nervous. St Kilda had the first 2 picks, so I knew I was going 1 or 2. As it turned out, Cozzy had an exam that he had to get back to Brocklesby for, so he had to shoot off pretty quickly, so they took me number 1 so that I would hang around and do all the media and that sort of stuff, and Cozzy just got to sort of shoot off to the side. But yeah, it was a good position to be in. Just all of the, I guess, the anxiety was taken out of that process by knowing early where we were going to be, which was great.
What about the spotlight straight away you're in it, I suppose, being a number 1 pick? How did you deal with that?
Yeah, it shone pretty bright straight away. I remember in my first couple of weeks at the football club, the senior players would generally take the younger players out and show them a good time, and it's a good way to get to know some of the players. So for anyone that knows Melbourne, there's a Southland shopping centre quite close to the Moorabbin training ground. There used to be a nightclub in the shopping centre called Wild Bills. So we went out, and I remember being in the back of a Kingswood afterwards, heading into the city, and in the passenger seat was Barry Hall, and in the driver's seat was Spider Everett. And I was in the back with Cozzy, and Cozzy and I we just sort of looked at each other, whispering in the back, "I just don't think this is going to turn out very well." So we tapped, "Excuse me, Mr. Everett, do you think you can pull the car over?" So we got out and we walked about the 5 k's back to Brighton. We didn't have any money for a cab. So a couple of weeks later, that was, we did the right thing on that occasion. A couple of weeks later, we went out on a Friday night to a nightclub in the city. I've never been out in the Melbourne city before, and we went to a place called the Spy Lounge, this famous sort of club. And we walked in, I was with Fraser Gehry, Matty Capuano, Stevie Lawrence, some of the senior players, and Cozzy, and we got a drink card. I thought, footballers and drink cards, please. We thought, how long has this been going on? Footballers, we get free drinks. So we walked in, we had a great night, and then the next day I called a mate from Queensland, Michael Osborne, who'd been drafted to Hawthorn. I said, "Ozzy, what are you doing tonight?" He said, "Oh, no plans." I said, "You've got to come out to this place I went to last night. It's amazing. You wouldn't believe what happened. We get drink cards." So we went back. So we did the Friday, Saturday night double. I went into training on the Monday, and Brian Waldron, the CEO at the time, called me into his office. And he just looked at me and he said, "Are you a party boy?" I thought, "Oh, geez, I don't think so. Like, what does a party boy do?" Like, "No." He said, "Well, do you want to explain to me why you were out Friday and Saturday night in the city, and when you're meant to be at training on Monday preparing to be an AFL footballer?" I said, "Oh my gosh, how do you even know that?" He said, "Well, someone that works at the club, he pays his membership every year, he's a St Kilda supporter, and he wants to know what the number 1 draft pick as doing out on a Friday and a Saturday. So that was, as far as the spotlight goes, that was the first time that I realised, wow, like this is going to be different. This is my world's changed. I'm going to have to smarten up pretty quickly because I can't do the normal things that normal teenagers would.
How about the lead up to your first game? I know, reading the book, you got physically ill before a lot of your games. How nervous were you leading into that first one?
Yeah, I was very nervous, and actually when you read out my list of accomplishments earlier, you missed one record that I do hold in the AFL, and it involves my first game. I actually hold the record for the most coaches in consecutive games of footy. So I played in a premiership for Southport, got drafted, and then in the pre-season for St Kilda, I hurt my knee and didn't play again until round 13 of the next season. So that was the next game I played for the VFL Springvale Reserves. They were our aligned club. I played okay. The next week I played for the VFL Springvale Seniors. Played okay. The next week, Malcolm Blight came to me and said, "You're going to make your debut, son, well done." Friday night, beat Adelaide at Colonial Stadium, and Mum and Dad were flying down from the Gold Coast. Their flight got delayed. They got there at half time. They didn't see me have a possession because I didn't have one in the second half. We got beaten by 97 points by the Crows. Darren Jarman kicked 6 and Malcolm Blight got sacked on the Tuesday. So that was my first game and fourth consecutive coach. And then the next week Grant Thomas came in as caretaker coach, so 5 coaches in 5 games of footy. So it was a fair initiation.
Unbelievable. Okay. What about your game day routine as well? I know that's something you're very particular about, and that was through your whole career. Can you run us through that, please?
Yeah, that really evolved, and I guess everyone's different. Everyone has their own routine, but certainly for me, my routine would evolve. I was pretty superstitious early in my career, and I would try to do the same thing every week, but that really all went out the window once I had kids, to be honest, and then I just sort of would try to stay out of the way and prepare for a game as best I could. But the one thing that was a constant right throughout my career was the anxiety that I would feel before games. And for me, that happened from my first game right through until the last game that I played at the MCG in round 23 this year. And I remember being in the shower, getting ready to leave and go to the ground for that last game, knowing it was probably going to be my last game, and just having the anxiety around how I was going to play and how I was going to perform. And I was speaking to my wife and I said, I just can't believe I feel like this after 336 games. Like, this is my last game and I still feel so nervous. Well, like, what is wrong with me? But for me, it was always every game, every time I went out to perform, was either an opportunity to enhance my reputation or diminish it. And it was the fear of not performing well and diminishing my reputation that had me in a really anxious state before every game of footy. It was never something that I guess restricted me, but it was something to endure, not something to enjoy. That experience before playing. Once I was out on the ground, it was great. I loved it, but the lead up, probably the 24 hours before, was tough.
My wife and I have got a problem with our 5-year-old at the moment. He wants to be first in everything he does. He's becoming really competitive, but you've still got that in you at the moment, do you think? And you speak about in the book that you went on a pre-season camp, I think, and you just had to win it. There was sort of no prize on the line in the event you were doing. Is that something you still sort of have today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a competitive person. I don't necessarily have the fire to win anything at the moment. I haven't lifted a finger since our last game, and I've probably been indulging a little bit too much in the food and bev. But yeah, that's something that I guess was innate in me as a young man on the way through. And at times it made me vulnerable because it became really obvious, particularly early in my career. I was just so fixated on performing well every week, regardless of whether the team played well, whether the team won or lost. If I didn't play well, I was outwardly disappointed, which when you're playing a team sport is not ideal. So that's something I certainly had to work on throughout my career, particularly once I was in a leadership position, taking the focus off your own performance and into the team's.
Yeah, early career, fun came with, as we said before, and I think your house was egged, and you had an incident at a fish and chip shop at one stage as well, which you spoke about in the book. But you went on the footy show as well, and you weren't happy with your performance that night. Can you run us through that?
Yeah, that's where you really rely on good people around you to hold you accountable. I went on the footy show early in my career, and I'd seen Shane Crawford and Jason Ackermanis, guys like this go on the footy show, and big media sort of personas, and the way they would interact with the crowd, almost either playing the clown or being combative and rude. So I thought I'll just do that and try and be funny, and it didn't go down at all well. And one particular instance where I spoke to Clinton Casey, who was the Richmond president at the time, and was pretty disrespectful. So I finished the show, I was in the car on the way home, and the phone rang, and it was Dad, and picked up, and he said, I said, what do you think? He goes, to be honest, I was a bit embarrassed. That was pretty disrespectful, so I suggest you give Clinton Casey a call. So I was like, oh, wow. So I went home and managed to track down his number, gave him a call, and the next night I went to the Hall of Fame induction as a guest of Carl Dittrich and was sitting next to Clinton Casey. And I'd already called him and cleared the air. So that was an instance. Dad's always given me feedback right throughout my career. Some of it not welcome, but that was certainly welcome feedback.
You broke out years 2004, I think you won the AFL MVP that year, led the AFL in marks and set a new record, and rewarded with the captaincy in 2005, but didn't get off to the start you would have liked up together.
No, we didn't. That was, I guess, a realisation that we still had a long way to go as a group, and I certainly had a long way to go as a player. So going into that game, we were premiership favourites. I was Brownlow favourite, and we lost the game, and I ended up sitting on the sidelines with a broken shoulder, which would cost me about half the season. So a lot of emotions, sort of the prospect of not knowing whether I'd be able to play again that year, all the expectation going into the year. That was a moment in my career that really sticks out.
You dated Steph McIntosh for a while, and you've got some ripping stories from your time in Hollywood, Tinseltown. You speak about that in the book. Can you give us a quick one of those?
Yeah. I mean, we think we're in a bubble in Melbourne, but that was a big eye opener, and certainly that period, and then having married someone from the other side of the world, I've got no doubt it's prolonged my career. To be able to have a mental break every year, get away to somewhere where the footy microscope isn't on you, and really freshen up mentally, but also get an understanding of just how big the world is. And 600 footballers in Melbourne, you're actually not that special. So sometimes you sort of need that, you need that element to be able to just bring you back down to earth a little bit.
Let's move on to, I guess, the tough stuff that we have to speak about, and that was the passing of Matty. What's it like coming home to Hobart, I suppose, now? It must be really tough.
Oh, yeah, it is. That's always hard, but it's also the setting for a lot of my really happy memories, which to be honest, in the immediate aftermath, when Matty passed away, I couldn't remember any of those things. And so writing the book has been a really cathartic experience from that point of view, because when I decided, no, I want to talk about this, I want to write something that people can relate to, because there's not much literature out there for siblings that have lost someone, lot for parents, but from a sibling's point of view, how it made me feel. So I wanted to do that, and it forced me to read a lot of the really horrible stuff in the hospital, but it also allowed me to delve back into our childhoods and remember so many great memories and so many great times. And Hobart and Orford are the scene of really the majority of those. So coming back is always tough, but it's also having Orford and having just somewhere that means something so much to us we are really fortunate that we have that.
Should be enormously proud, I imagine, of what the legacy you're leaving with, first of all, Matty Riewoldt's vision, and also Matty's match. It's become just a massive part of the AFL calendar now.
Yeah, it has. It's been overwhelming, the support that we've received. It really has been incredible, and we are lucky in a sense. I mean, obviously we'd rather not be doing it, because Matty would still be here and she'd be doing it an advocate for the cause herself. But to be able to do something positive with your grief is not something. It's not an opportunity that everybody is afforded. But we've got that chance with the AFL as a platform to raise awareness and raise money. So we are very lucky to be able to do that, and the support that we've received to be able to raise money to put in towards treatments, to improve treatments, to find a cure, a lot of medical research. that gives, I guess, real meaning to Maddie's life, which is, for us, as far as her legacy goes, that is what is most important to us. So yeah, it's been overwhelming. We've been in existence for just over 2 years. We've raised just over $2 million. We've got a really exciting event coming up next year, specific Tasmanian event, which will be great, February 23rd. So that'll be really special. So we've received a lot of support from Tasmania in particular, which we're very, very grateful for. So thank you.
Yeah, your family, you don't have to read the book to know how important, how close you are to each other. You spoke about Jack before, and you were there grand final day a month or so ago now. How proud were you watching on seeing Jack win the flag with Richmond?
Yeah, it was an incredible week, to be honest. It really was. I saw Jack maybe 3 or 4 times that week, like just driving along the street while I was walking, because we live a couple of minutes away from each other. So I saw a lot of him that week, and it just annoyed me how calm he was. Because I knew going into, because we're very different sort of people, but he's just a lot more laid back and relaxed. I know going into grand finals, I was wound up like a top, and he was just so chilled out. It was really great to see. And it was an emotional day. It really was. Bittersweet in a lot of senses, because the finality of knowing that my career was over and I'd never get to taste that again, that hurt. And the grand final, for me, evokes a lot of really tough memories, close losses. But to see Jack win it as a family, we're just so excited for him. Probably the biggest kick in the guts I received on the day was doing the motorcade before the game. So I was out with Lee Montagna in the car, and I had James and Will with me, and James has run through the banner for St Kilda games quite a few times, so for my 300th game, for my last game, so he just thinks that's what you do, you just get to run through the banner. So he's been very spoiled. So anyway, so we're starting the motorcade, and he said, "Oh, Daddy, I want to run through the banner." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, buddy, Daddy doesn't play anymore, I don't play footy anymore." He said, No, with Jack." So that just rocked me. How am I going? I've played footy for 17 years and he does not give a toss. So I've got a big fight. On my hands. If he sings yellow and black one more time, seriously. So yeah. So Pete, we've got to get to work on him, because I'm losing him to the dark side.
Kate, how are we going for time? Are we on track? Couple of minutes, oh jeez. Alright, we better talk about the grand finals, Nick.
Great.
Yeah, no, sorry. Probably could have left that out, I suppose, couldn't we?
No, it's all good. Yeah, look, it's that'll always be a hole in my career. The fact that we went so close and didn't win one. But I'm okay. I know the effort that went into that period. I know how hard everyone worked, and both of those games, the 09 and the draw, they could have gone either way. They were brutal games of footy, and from an effort perspective, no one could have tried any harder. I think that's where it would be difficult. If you could look at teammates or look at yourself and say, you could have tried a bit harder then, well then that would be hard to live with. But the effort that went into it, if all that got us was close twice, well then I can live with that. It'll always be a hole, it'll always burn, but there's nothing anyone could have done. We didn't execute as well as we would have liked, but that's not down to effort. And we just came up against two really good teams. The Geelong 2009 team were incredible. Game could have gone either way. Tom Hawkins hit the post. Now we have a goal review, so that's helpful. The next year, we have a draw. Now we play extra time, so that's helpful as well. But it is what it is, and I certainly hope my life isn't defined by it.
There's so much we could sit here and ask you. I've got pages of questions, but we're not going to have time, unfortunately. But I guess a little bit of scandal across your career, and something you have to write in a book if you're doing it, I suppose. How tough were those times in your life? And even, supporting Stephen Mill in court, you got a rap over the knuckles from Caroline Wilson, I think it was, wasn't it? So there's always been something you had to deal with. Yeah,
and you play long enough, and I guess with 45 guys on this, you're going to be inevitably exposed to some of that stuff, either directly or indirectly throughout your career. But the overwhelming sense the overwhelming feeling that I had from those periods is being involved directly or indirectly. It just made me hate the things that I love, and that was footy. because all of a sudden the microscope, the footy media, everyone that should be talking about footy, they were talking about this other distraction. And at times, it really galvanised us as a group and brought us tighter together and performed really strongly. At other times, it ripped the heart out of the group because it just became too much to deal with. And I sat back and watched Joe Watson's press conference this year, and he spoke about what that whole supplement saga had done to him, and it just how it made him hate footy, and it just made me sad. So I'm really grateful that the last sort of 5 or 6 years of my career, I was able to, sort of, as a footy club, we were really scandal-free, for want of a better expression, and it was just nice to have some clear air and spend time developing young players and play a role from a leadership perspective in doing that, rather than focusing on the stuff that you shouldn't have to.
Before we let you go, mate, so the future, obviously Texas is a big part of, close to your heart, I guess, as well. You've spent a lot of time there, no doubt, but you've recently signed a deal with Fox Footy as well, so you'll be sticking around well and truly in the footy industry, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I wanted to stay involved in footy at some level, and the media is great. I've had a fair bit of exposure to it over the course of my career and really enjoyed it. I think that's where my strength lies. People have asked me a bit about coaching, but I've seen what coaching has done to all of my previous coaches and their families, and at this stage, I don't have a passion for it, so I certainly wouldn't want to put my family through that, because you are all in as a coach. You can't just finish work, go home and leave it at the footy club. You take it home with you, you think about it 24 hours a day. And the one thing about coaching that I think I would find personally very hard is that it's complete responsibility, but only a certain degree of control, because you can't get inside a player's head, and that would just drive me absolutely crazy. So yeah, Fox Footy will be great. Really excited about doing that. We'll spend some time in Texas. We'll head over there in a couple of weeks. Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then come back early in the new year, which will be great.
Excellent, mate. Well, as I said, I've got pages of notes, but unfortunately we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for being open and honest, and all the best for the rest of the tour, and have fun at the wedding this weekend. Nick Riewoldt.
Thank you.